When I told my wife to get ready, she beamed with excitement and began preparing herself for me. I mentioned that I was stepping out to buy her a special gift and left the room. Inside, I chuckled at how easily she trusted me. The gift I had in mind, however, was something that would shatter her world. As I walked out of the house, a man was already waiting for me. I grinned at him and said, "She's inside. I'll switch off the lights so she won't know whether it's me or you. Just be quick and keep her quiet." The man let out a dark, menacing laugh and replied, "Don't worry, I've got this under control." He was eager to slip inside. As soon as he entered, I turned off all the lights. It was the first time I'd arranged to sell my wife, and oddly, I felt no guilt. I had married her for this exact reason. My true family was back in my homeland, and this marriage was just a way to make money in a foreign country where I had no other options. The trade was thriving here. Minutes later, I heard her stifled screams. She must have realized the man in the darkness wasn't me, but her cries didn't move me. All I cared about was waiting for dawn. Hours passed, and eventually, the man emerged, his clothes torn, hair wild, looking disheveled. He shoved a stack of cash into my hand and said, "Your wife is incredible. I'd come back every day if you didn't charge so much." I smirked and replied, "If you know anyone else, send them tomorrow." He laughed heartily, nodding, "I've got plenty of friends. I'll send someone." Then he walked off. Once he was gone, I roughed myself up, wrapping a bandage around my head to look like I'd been attacked. Stumbling back inside, I stashed the money. What I saw next sent a chill through me. My wife lay still on the bed, blood staining the sheets, her ankles bound with rope, barely conscious. I hurried to untie her, softly calling her name. "Lena, are you okay? What happened?" Her tearful eyes fluttered open, and upon seeing me, she burst into sobs. I fed her a lie. "Someone jumped me outside. I was knocked out. What happened to you?" Trembling with fear and confusion, she recounted how a stranger had crept in during the dark and assaulted her. Sobbing, she clung to me, and I held her close. I'd played my part so well that she never suspected me exactly what I wanted. I planned to sell her every night without her ever catching on, and I had no intention of sharing the profits. I comforted Lena, shedding crocodile tears alongside her. After a while, when she settled down, she said, "We should go to the police." I shot it down, saying, "We don't know who they were or how connected they might be. We're powerless here, too poor to fight back." I frightened her into silence. I kept some of the cash and sent the rest to my family back home. I was already eager for the next night, hoping the man would send another client, but no one came. Night fell, and the deal didn't happen. I was furious I'd wasted a whole night. My anger grew, and I decided to confront him at his place to find out why he'd let me down. I didn't want this business out in the open. He was discreet and brought me clients, so I preferred dealing with him directly. The next day, claiming I had work, I went to his house. What I found left me stunned. He'd died the night before, a strong, healthy man, gone just like that. His family said he'd struggled to breathe and collapsed suddenly, with no time to get him to a hospital. They thought it was a heart attack. Instead of grief, I felt rage. I needed new clients. Then I recalled him saying his friends were all thrill seekers. This was my chance to tap into his network and grow my business. At his funeral, I mingled with the guests and quickly spotted a few of his friends who seemed like good prospects. They asked how I knew him. I eased into it, saying, "I'm married to a stunning woman. Your friend used to visit her for a good time." Their eyes lit up with interest. They took my address, eager to take their turn with her. It was effortless. One of them even set up a deal for that night. Now I just needed an excuse to leave without raising suspicion so the man could slip in. That evening, I told Lena, "I've got extra work tonight. My boss needs me for overtime. It's a chance to earn more. I can't say no." She looked at me terrified and pleaded, "Please don't leave me alone. The last time you were gone, something awful happened. I can't be by myself again." I reassured her gently. "I have to work. Do you want our future kids trapped in this same poverty? Worn down by our struggles, she reluctantly agreed and said nothing more. I left quietly and sent the man in after me. Our flimsy hollow walls, weak locks made it easy for him to get inside. Soon I heard Lena's screams from within. I sat outside, unfazed. I felt no pity for her anymore. To me, she was worthless, just a tool for profit. I wanted to sell her every night, milking her beauty for all it was worth. Hours later, the man stepped out, handing me a wad of cash with a grin. Every man who'd been with her left satisfied. She was young, breathtakingly beautiful, with a charm that hooked anyone. I stayed out all night and returned in the morning, acting like I'd slaved away at work. Once again, Lena was on the bed, worse off than before. When she saw me, she broke down crying and said, "I begged you not to leave me alone. Someone broke in after you left and hurt me again. I feel like we're being targeted." Her words irritated me and I snapped, "Stop spouting nonsense. Who'd bother targeting us? We've got nothing. You need to lock the doors better." After calming her down, I said I needed sleep from my hard night's work. She sat in a corner, weeping silently, while I slept soundly. When I woke, I told her I had to head out for work again. I'd only walked a short distance when one of the client's friends approached me. He said, "My other friend died earlier today. He was fine when he left your place last night, but something happened. Both my friends who were with your wife are dead now. What's going on?" Shocked but quick on my feet, I replied, "That's ridiculous. What could she possibly do? She's always left weak and helpless. Maybe your friends were into something risky like drugs and that's what killed them. Don't pin this on her." I stormed off, but the question gnawed at me. How had both men died after a night with her? For days, no clients came. Word of the deaths must have spread, scaring them off. Then, while at my labor job, a Manoni of the big shots at work approached me with a sly grin. "Your wife's gorgeous," he said. "I know you offer her up. I want her for a night." I jumped at the chance he was loaded, and I could charge him big. When I named my price, he didn't blink. That night, I left under the guise of overtime and sent him in. By morning, Lena was crying quietly, but said nothing. She seemed resigned to her fate, and her silence suited me fine. After a quick nap, I went back to work and got hit with staggering news. The boss had died that afternoon. My mind reeled. This was no fluke. 3 men who'd been with my wife, all dead shortly after. What was it about her? Fear crept in. I was even scared of her now. I'd been with her myself recently and was fine. So what was happening? Was it chance or something darker? To find out, I decided to secretly watch the next time I sent a client in. 3 days later, I lined up another customer. After sending him inside, I slipped in quietly and peered through a small window. He was forcing himself on her as she fought back fiercely. Eventually, he overpowered her. What happened next floored me. She reached under the pillow, pulled out a syringe, and jabbed it into his leg with practiced ease. He finished his night and left in the morning, paying me as usual. When I went inside, Lena was crying in a corner. I sat beside her and said, "I know that man from last night will be dead soon." She stared at me, shocked, then gave a chilling smile. "People have always used me, thinking I'm weak," she said coldly. "When we married, I thought you'd protect me. But you're just like the rest. You wanted to sell me. I didn't stop you because I'd already been broken before, at that hotel job. I had nothing left to lose, but I decided to make these men pay. Everyone who came, I poisoned with a slow-acting toxin. It creeps through their system and triggers a heart attack. Anyone who does this to a girl like me deserves it." Her words left me stunned. I thought I'd fooled her completely, but she'd seen through me. She wasn't the helpless fool I'd pegged her for. Tears streamed down her face as she went on. "We refugees are already suffering so much. Then this happened. Nobody cares about us. And you betrayed me under the pretense of marriage. I'll never forgive you." With that, she threw me out and ended our marriage. I was back on the streets, empty-handed. I'd chased quick money and lost everything. For the first time, I felt for her. But it was too late. I scraped by in that country a little longer before returning home. But when I got there, devastating news awaited. My young daughter had been brutally attacked, was now bedridden, her life in ruins. Maybe this was my punishment for what I'd done to Lena. Now, I'm consumed by regret, wondering if my actions brought this horror on my child. Do you think I'm to blame for this?